Okay, so I'm not sure if you watched the Michigan logo tutorial before this one or after this one. So I'll start with the same thing. I have a project for recreated logos, and then I come over here for the Pepsi logo. I click it and I open it. I can right click on it and say save image to downloads and find it that way, or I can come here, which I like to do, create new, come over here to pixels, make sure it says pixels, 2000 by 2000, type that in, and say create. Now I go back to Safari for a second, click it, and drag that Pepsi logo in here. I resize with the black arrow, taking the corner, holding shift while I do it, so that that Pepsi logo is bigger and more prominent. Now, this is just for reference purposes. Do not want you to trace over it ever. I want you to only look at it from the side so that you can then try and do this Pepsi logo on your own. So there's a couple of ways you can potentially do this. Number one, you can click and hold on the rectangle tool, choose the ellipse. When you choose the ellipse, if you hold shift while you do that, it's going to create a circle. Pepsi logo is going to need a circle, so I'm going to click and hold shift while I drag, release my mouse, it creates my circle for me. Be conscious of where the fill and the stroke is. Doesn't look like the Pepsi logo has a stroke. It looks like it has a fill. So I'm going to fill it with red, not their red, but just a red. And then I'm going to go to the black arrow for a second. Okay, so this circle here is going to need to be two circles. So we've learned a tool to do that before. That's going to be under the eraser tool called the scissors tool. Okay, so the scissors tool is going to let you cut things in half pretty easily. I'm going to click on it. When you come over here with the scissors, click on these 2 points. It's not going to look like much, but that's going to work. If it doesn't work, undo it until the circle goes away and try the whole process again. You click once, you move your mouse, no click and drag, just click once, and then come over here and click the second time on this other anchor. Once you do it, you will recognize that there is a line. I went back to the black arrow, and now you can see it's got 2 different ones. So I'm going to come over here and choose a blue. So now I got the Pepsi logo like this. So how do I get what's going on in between? Well, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. Number one, well, let's go backwards. Let's create another circle for a second. I'll show you this real simple method. There's an eraser tool. The eraser tool is dictated by the brush size. Remember, if you hit the bracket, left bracket makes the brush size bigger or smaller, right bracket makes it bigger. So I'm going to have to go here. If I wanted to erase this circle, I need it selected. You can see the blue outline with the anchor points selected with the black arrow first, then go to this eraser tool. And it looks like I'm going to have to go down, then up. So I'll increase brush size a little bit. And I'm going to just try and go down, then up. So you literally will have to try this 35, 40 times until you get your perfect flow and rhythm. Now, it's never going to be absolutely perfect, in my opinion. This is a very difficult way to do it. Once you do it, though, you can make the other one red, and you get the idea that you're starting to get the Pepsi logo. That brush size is too big for this eraser is too big. But how do I get that shape there? Well, the way I like to do it is I like to take the pen tool and create this shape. So if you recognize the pen tool, I'm going to put a point here, and I'm going to put a point here. I'll put a point over here where there's a curve and right at the corner. I'm going to do the same thing right there, then right above the point I put it over there, right above the point I put over here and here. So you'll notice this, and I'll close the shape. So again, I'm not tracing this. I'm going to use it as a reference. But I'm going to go like here. Let me just do this here. I'll do here. And then, well, I probably want to go a little bit higher. here to here. Then there looks to be another curve over here. And then maybe, you know, right about there, but I'm not sure. So, but I don't like to actually, you see how that goes like that? It's going to try and link to the existing points on the circle. So I'm going to get it off the circle a little bit so I'm not on the circle. Now I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do the exact same thing, but over, so right underneath this one, I'm going to have another point right there. Right underneath this one, I'm going to have another point that comes down over here. And then right underneath that one, I'm going to have another point. So I link that one as my last. Click. Make that a white fill. And then I have to take my white arrow, and remember, you can curve any of these points by clicking one of the points and then coming up here to convert to this smooth point. So I smooth it out, smooth it out, smooth, and last one, smooth. Then I can control things with my handles. I can pull this a little bit further if I want. This handle looks like it needs a little bit more straight. So I can work this curve out so that it's got a nicer feel to it. I'm using these handles, and literally all I'm doing is dragging this curve out a little bit more. You can see this is a way to control those curves and the placement a little bit more. So now I've got this shape, and I can, well, maybe I want to like move this up a little bit and shift this. I can move these points around. Maybe it's not as high as I need it to be, so I start to shift that around until I get the shape that I want. So it's a little bit of fine-tuning there. The last method, I'm going to move this off to the side. The last thing you could potentially do is to do the same thing with these half circles, but take the pen tool. While that's selected, just go ahead and go click here to start on the existing path. Come up here. Actually, I think we go down on this particular case. Down, then up, and then over to this one. So now that is my shape. So I can come back to the white arrow, select this point, fill it, or smooth it and smooth it. So if you notice, what I'm doing is I'm doing the same thing, but I'm actually doing it to the half circle instead of making another shape. So I just added a point to it. And then I'd have to do the same thing over there, making sure that it doesn't look like a burger. There's a few different ways to do it. All have their challenges because all of them require you to fine-tune once you're done. But good luck.